Thank you for joining me. This is Melissa Graff with Prime Pay, and today we're learning about your new time and attendance system. Your organization has invested in an electronic time and attendance system that will allow you as an employee to clock in and out in two different ways. One way you might clock in and out will be through what's called a web clock. A web clock is where you sit down at a computer, fire it up, go to a website, and use that website to clock in or clock out. The other way you might clock in or out is via a mobile app that you can download for free to your smartphone. So let's talk about that mobile app for a second. If you have an Apple device, you're going to go to the App Store. If you have an Android device, you will be going to Google Play. From either of those locations, the free app you want to download is called Time Works Plus. That's Time Works Plus. I do recommend that you update your operating system to the latest operating system prior to doing the download. And in addition, when you are using the mobile app to clock in and out, you need to have your location settings on your phone set to on. So go ahead, put your location settings on, update your operating system, go out to either the App Store or Google Play, and download Time Works Plus. What will that look like when you do it? Well, this is it. This is the app. So this is what the app's going to look like, and I'm going to take you through the process of looking at clocking in and clocking out. In addition to clocking in and clocking out via either the mobile app or the web clock, you also have what's called employee self-service. And employee self-service allows you to do things like look at your time card, leave notes on your time card, or look at your accrual balances, make a time off request, things like that. So I'm going to show you those features and functions in addition to clocking in and clocking out on the mobile app first. Then we'll go into the web clock and look at it from that perspective. You will be given a login name and a generic password to use the first time you log in. So we've got a test employee out there that we're going to work with. And we're going to put in that login and that generic password and tap login. Now, because you've been given a generic password, it does require you to change it. So put in the password you were given and create a new one for yourself. And tap submit. What this is going to do is it's going to validate you, and it's going to keep your password for both the mobile app and the web clock. You'll have the same login and password for both sides. It brings you into what we call a dashboard. Now, the dashboard gives you some quick statistics about yourself. When's this pay period going to end? How many hours have I worked this pay period? What is my time off balance? Okay. You also have some options here that we're going to go through in a moment. But at the very top, this is very important. You see clock out and submit. Now to clock in or clock out, you're going to tap this little button that says clock out, and it toggles back and forth between clock out and clock in. So if you're going to clock in, you need to make sure that this button says clock in, and then just tap the submit button. Now, your organization is structured such that it wants additional information from you. So it wants to know what department you're working in, and you will tap that button and a drop-down list will appear. You will choose from one of these. I like dancing, so I'm going to be in dance, and hit submit. Now, if you get this message, it tells you that your location settings are not set to on. So go ahead and do that. And you have been clocked in. You can look again at your current hours worked. You can look at your time off balance. You can do things like request a time off. I want to take some time off, so I'm going to click on request time off. And you can put in dates. A calendar can pop up. You can choose what dates you want to start your time off, what time end, how many hours per day is a slide. And you can leave a comment about your time off request. And then hit continue. Once you hit the continue button, what will happen to your request is it will be emailed to your immediate supervisor for review. When your supervisor makes a decision on your time off request, you will get an email back letting you know what their decision was. You can take a look at your time card. It will load up your time card for the pay period. What you see here is the dates for the pay period here, and there's some little icons here. These are what we call approval icons. Your company is set up such that you will be approving your time card as well as will your supervisor. Okay, so you look at this time card and you see, well, here's the date, and here's the in punch, and here's the out punch. Now, here is a missing punch. You see that on Tuesday, this employee came in at 8, left at 12, came back at 1, and did not punch out at the end of the day. That's a missing punch. Now, as an employee, you can't fix that missing punch. However, what you can do is leave a note so they don't have to track you down and ask you, what time did you come back? If you want to leave a note of any type for your supervisor to see on your time card, you're going to click or tap on the date. And it gives you a space to leave a note. You can leave a quick one. I got my cap locks on. Sorry about that. Forgot to punch out. Left at 4 p.m. Okay. You can save the note. And the note's been added. This is also the place where you can approve your time card. So if we go back and we look at the time card now, there's your note. Your supervisor can see that. Your supervisor can also leave notes for you, and they're displayed in the exact same fashion on the day in the space right underneath the punches for that day. If you want to approve your time card or approve a specific date, click on that date, and you can approve the time card. Now what you'll notice is this little icon here on the left turned green. That is a visual that tells you that you have approved that entry's day. This icon here on the right is for your supervisor. When your supervisor approves your time card, that icon will also turn green. Down at the very bottom, you can approve the entire time card at once. This punch here is our test punch that we just did a few minutes ago, and this little red icon tells you and the supervisor that this punch was done via a mobile app. And we are currently clocked in. Are there any questions about clocking in or clocking out, requesting time off or looking at your time card, or approving your time card through the mobile app? No? All right. Up at the very top, there is a little button here that gets you into the features as well. You can close the app, look at your current hours worked, look at your time off balance. You have some personal information out here. You can review your time card. If you are a supervisor, you can get into the supervisor portal. You can change your password and, of course, log off. Any questions about that mobile app? All right, well, let's log out of the mobile app as that test employee, and let's take a look at the web clock. The web clock is a little bit different. The web clock is a website. and you will be given a direct link to get to that website. However, since you can also get to that website and look at employee self-service, and you might be doing that at home, if you do not have your direct link, I'm going to share with you now the path you will take to get to that web clock and that employee self-service. So this is primepay.com. You can get to that from anywhere. You can grab the internet, just open a browser and type in primepay.com. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a little green box that says log in. So let's click on log in. Now you are going in as an employee, so please choose employee access. We are using the SwipeClock platform. So click on SwipeClock. That's the path. This is the web clock. Now, if you're doing this from work, I recommend that at this page, if you haven't already, save this as a favorite, bookmark it, or from anywhere on the page, right-click and save it as a desktop icon. Your web clock only works when you are clocking in and out from machines that are attached to the company network. You cannot clock in or out from home or anywhere else. However, by using your login here, you can get to employee self-service. So let's do that. Put in your login and your password and click login. So here's the web clock. Now you can clock in and out from here as well. If you hit clock in, it asks you for that department. And you're clocked in. If you want to get to employee self-service from here, use your login, your password. And if you want to get to the desktop version of employee self-service, click the button that says ESS. This is going to bring you into the employee self-service desktop version. Now, as you can see, there's a menu here on the left. Anything that you choose from the left will be displayed on the main screen. The dashboard here gives you some statistics of how many hours you've worked this pay period, if you have any missing punches, so on and so forth. These are all links to get directly to those. However, you can see almost all of this information in one place by clicking on Time Card from the menu on the left. This is your time card view. There's the dates for the pay period here. There's your approval icons and another icon we're going to talk about in a second. Your in times, your out times, any deducted times, category of time. Categories are regular time, overtime, personal. It shows you the department that you chose at the clock prompt, and it shows the payroll department that your time will be coded to. It will populate that automatically for you. You see the note here that we left using the mobile app. Now, for the desktop version, if you want to leave a note on your time card, you're going to click this little pencil. So sorry, I forgot. Save that note, and it's going to print right there on the card. Down here is this mobile app punch that we've done, and we clocked in twice. So we have a missing punch here. At the very bottom of the card, it is adding up all of your hours. Now you have 19, those are in minutes, 23 hours. This will always display in decimals because payroll is always done in decimals. So the system shows you both minutes and decimals. At the very bottom of the card, it shows you your accrual balances as of the end of the pay period. Just a snapshot in time as of the end of the pay period. Now, approving your time card here is just as easy. If you want to approve just certain entries, say I want to approve this one or this one, you can click on the little icons and they highlight in black. Where you go to approve your time card here is time card options. Approve the card. Approve the entries that I've selected. And they turn green. And now when you hover over them, it tells you it was approved by the employee, but it still needs supervisor approval. If you wish to approve your entire card, go to Time Card Options, approve the time card, approve all entries. Are you sure? Yeah. And they all turn green. You can scroll through and look at next pay periods or previous pay periods by using these toggles here at the top. You can print your time card. If you click on this little printer icon here, it will download it for you and will open it up in a PDF format that you can then save or print. Any questions about the time card view in the employee self-service? All right, we're going to go ahead and look at time off requests. Under the time off request section in the desktop version, there are instructions out here for you, but it's real simple, so I'll walk you through it. If we want to add a new time off request, click Add a new time off request. It shows me the balances, the categories. I can choose a single day, put in the date and the number of hours. Multiple days, if like you're taking a week. Partial days, with a date and a specific time. A description. And then it will automatically send a notification to your immediate supervisor. You have the option to send them to Cynthia, Julie, or Teresa. So let's say I want a single day. I want Friday. I want the whole day. And darn it, I need a day off. I'm going to send it to these folks for testing and training purposes. The time off request was successfully sent, and it has now moved it to the pending folder where you can see it. Now, your supervisor is going to take a look at that request and do one of three things: either approve it, conditionally approve it, or reject it. Now, approved and rejected, pretty obvious. Conditionally approved. Conditionally approved is, let's say, for example, I've asked for both Friday and Monday off, and the supervisor says, hey, you can have Friday, but you cannot have Monday. That is conditionally approved because they've only approved a portion of the time that I have asked for. The same would be true if I've asked for 8 hours and they really need me to work in the morning. So they change my request to be only 4 hours and say, hey, you can only take a half a day. If my request is conditionally approved, I will receive an email letting me know that my request was conditionally approved, and it is my responsibility as an employee to come back into employee self-service, take a look at the changes that were made to the request, and either approve those changes or cancel the request entirely. And you will be able to see the history of your pending, approved, conditionally approved, or rejected requests out here. Are there any questions about making a time off request? You guys are quiet. All right, let's look at the accruals report. Under the accruals report, this gives you an expanded view of your accrual bank, not just balances. You can put in a date range, project out into the future, and look at any one of these banks. Personal and sick are those banks that are house time that's available for use. Sick bank is a banked sick type of accrual where certain people have sick time that they get to bank it instead of lose it. Sick year to date. This is only for calculation purposes, and it is counting how much you earn per year to enforce the policy. Vacation. Vacation is what's available for use. Vacation bank. This is also a banked accrual, much like the sick one, where your carryover would go into that. If you have items in either your sick bank or your vacation bank and you request either sick or vacation, it will look at that bank first before it takes from your current bank. Let's run the report. So this gives you a day by day for every single day you've asked for in that date range, and it's like a checkbook ledger. You can see here on the 30th, there were some adjustments made, and it gives you the description of it. Cindy set the sick bank to 80, the personal to 24, so on and so forth. And so here are the balances. These are always the balance columns. If you earn time, it will say earning, sick, how much did they earn? And it will show you the balance. When you take time, it will say a deduction of time, what type of time was deducted, and then your balances will always be reflected here. You can print this report. It prints very cleanly, looks just like this. You can export this out. If you click the Export to CSV button, it downloads it for you, and it opens it up in an Excel format.
Well, one thing quick, we got disconnected right when you were starting out this section, so we just dialed back in. So we probably lost you for about a minute and a half or so.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. Do you want to go back over it, or would you like to review the recording?
You're cool.
Do you guys want to see it? They would like to see it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So where did you leave off?
Right at the beginning of when you hit the accrual report tab.
Okay.
Cool.
So we'll go back to the accruals report. The accruals report allows you to put in a date range where you can look in the past. You can project out into the future. You pick the date range that you'd like to see. And then these different banks, you can choose what you want to see on the report. Personal, sick, and vacation in lowercase are the categories that you would request, and they are the categories that have available time for use. Sick bank and vacation bank, those are banked time. You have a policy such that there's certain people or a policy that applies where the carryover, instead of losing something, you get to carry it over and it goes into this special bank and it's held there for you. Okay, you can use that up to a certain amount. And when the accrual, when you ask for either personal, sick, or vacation, it looks at those first before it takes it from your current bank. Your sick year to date is only for calculation purposes, and it displays how much you have earned in sick time for the current benefit year, and it's enforcing the policy. So when we run this report, you see your balances here, and you see any activity described. If there were any adjustments, it'll tell you. If you earned time, it will tell you, and it will put it in there. These will always be balances in the columns, very much like a checkbook ledger. When you have a time that's deducted on the day that you took it, it will show a deduction, what type of time, how much, and then your balances will reflect that. You can print the report. You can export it out, and it will download for you and open in Excel. Any questions about the accrual report? Okay, personal information. Under the personal information tab, you can see some basic demographics about yourself. Here is where you can enable those notifications. Now, notifications about time off requests, they are sent via email. So if you have not put an email address into the system, either through the mobile app or out here, you need to. You can change your password. This is where you would put in a phone number and an email address. Now, I really encourage you to put in that email address. 2 reasons. 1, you want to be able to get those notifications when you make a time off request. You want to know, hey, what was my supervisor's decision? In addition to that, should you lose your password for the employee self-service or the mobile app, you can retrieve it via email. But, of course, only if you have an email address in the system. So the first time you come out here or to the mobile app, make sure you put an email address in. Let's review. When you first come out to employee self-service, you'll be presented with the dashboard. You can view your time card. You can print your time card. You can leave notes on your time card. You can see if you've approved your time card and if your supervisor has approved your time card. You can view your accrual balances. You can make a time off request. You can view your pending approved, conditionally approved, or rejected requests. You can run an accruals report for a date range and see any activity within that date range. And you can update your personal information by changing your password, your phone number, and your email address. Reviewing clocking in and out, you will clock in and out either the mobile app or the web clock. When you do clock in from either of those devices, you will be presented with a drop-down list to choose the department you will be working in. Are there any questions about clocking in and out, the mobile app, or the employee self-service website? All right, well, I hope you enjoy using your time and attendance system. If you do have any difficulties or issues, please get with your supervisor and they will get with us and we'd be happy to help. And thank you for choosing PrimePay.